In this Spanish lesson, we will see what we call in Spanish verbos reflexivos. Verbos reflexivos or reflexive verbs. I strongly recommend that you watch my previous class, my last class, where we talked about tener que and hay que, which are very useful and important expressions in Spanish, and we will see that, we will review a bit of that at the end using these reflexive verbs. Okay, so really, if you haven't watched that lesson before, I strongly recommend you go back to my previous class. Okay, so which are the reflexive verbs? Those that have an ending in Spanish. It is an infinitive verb, in this case verb ir, that means to go, plus the ending se, that means oneself. Okay, portar se. Portar means to carry. Se, oneself, to carry oneself. Portarse means to behave. Irse, to go oneself, means to leave. Casar is to marry. Casarse is to get married, to marry oneself, to get married. Okay? Acostar is to lay something. Okay? And acostarse means to lie down or to go to bed, right? But remember that the ending, the se, the reflexive suffix, would mean oneself. Oneself or myself or yourself, himself. Okay? So, irse is to leave. Portarse, to behave. Casarse, to get married. And acostarse is to lie down or to go to bed. Okay? So let's see the conjugation of these in present tense first for each one of the Spanish subject pronouns. Okay? Yo is I, tú is you, él, he, ella, she, usted is you, is the you, formal you. Okay? So usted should go here because it means you, only that usted is formal, right? But it conjugates the same as he and she. Okay? Nosotros is we. Vosotros is you plural. You plural used the word used in Spain, right? Ustedes is also you plural, but the you plural used in Latin America. And ellos means they. And although vosotros and ustedes are synonyms because they are both you plural, however, ustedes conjugates the same as ellos, as they. That's why they are together here. Okay? So, see how this works, how a reflexive verb is conjugated. Okay? And this will work for all the verbal tenses. Okay? Although this is present tense, however, this part will always remain the same for past, present, future, for all the tenses. Okay? The only thing that will change is the root of the verb itself, that will go conjugated to whatever tense it is. Okay? So for the present it is yo me voy, I leave, or yo me porto, and I behave, right? Or yo me caso, I get married. Or yo me acuesto, I lay down or I go to bed, right? So see how this is used. The me, the te, for tú it is te, for él or ella it is se, for nosotros it is nos, for vosotros os, and ustedes and ellos se. So, for example, tú te vas, you leave, right? You can add a predicate. For example, tú te vas a casa, you leave home, right? Él se va, he leaves. Or él se va a la escuela, he leaves to school, right? Él se porta bien, he behaves well. Or ella se casa con Juan, she gets married with Juan. Or usted se acuesta temprano, you formal, right? You go to bed early, okay? Nosotros nos vamos, we leave. Vosotros os vais, you leave. Or vosotros os portáis mal, you behave badly, right? Or vosotros os casáis mañana would be you plural get married tomorrow, right? Ustedes is also you plural but used in Latin America, right? Ustedes se acuestan muy tarde. That means you plural go to bed very late. Or ellos, ellos is they. Ellos se casan la semana que viene. They get married the next week, right? Or if we said this in the past, simple past, it would be ellos se casaron la semana pasada. That is, they got married last week. So you can see how this works. For me, for I, it is me, right? And then the verb, the reflexive verb in present tense, or whatever tense you want to conjugate it, right? For tú, the te, okay? For él, ella, or usted, se, okay? Nosotros, nos. Vosotros, os vais, os portáis, os casáis, os acostáis. And ustedes, or ellos, se van, se portan, se casan, or se acuestan. And this works the same for all the reflexive verbs of the Spanish language, and the list is very long, so that's why I just gave you these 4 verbs, reflexive verbs, that were the first that came to my mind, okay? But look, remember last class we talked about tener que and hay que, right? We said that tener que is used for saying somebody has to do something, right? And hay que is something has to be made, but without any subject, right? Without saying somebody. Or it can also be like saying one must do something, okay? So in those cases, when we say tener que or hay que, the verb later goes in infinitive, right? So we don't conjugate it like here. We just leave the verbs in infinitive like here, okay? We use it like this. For example, hay que irse. One must leave, you see? The verb is in infinitive, the verb to leave, okay? One must leave, or this usually means it is time to leave, okay? When you say this, hay que irse is like saying it's time to leave, one must leave, okay? Hay que portarse bien. One must behave well, right? Hay que portarse bien. You can see how portarse is in infinitive, right? All the verbs in infinitive, they end in ar, er, or ir, depending on which group they belong to. And then you have the suffix, because it is a reflexive verb, okay? Hay que casarse.